And we're now live.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this live event. In case we've not met, my name is Jim Coop, and it's my privilege to be principal here at Shoreham Academy. I've now worked at the Academy for 12 years, and over half of that time has been as head teacher. Tonight, I'm joined by several members of my leadership team. Lydia Shelley, my senior assistant principal who heads our transition programme. Hayley Hill, Vice Principal who works closely with our parent groups, and Tim Harkins, who's our Business Director and also producing this event. Our goal is to provide you with an understanding of the school and answers to questions that might be on your mind. We would absolutely love to be welcoming you to the school in person, but as we know, at the moment, for obvious reasons, that's not possible. For those of you who are unfamiliar with a Teams live event, you can ask questions during the event by adding them into the questions box. We will then respond to your questions. Some of those in person as part of the live event, others as typed responses. If we move on one slide, Tim. So just to provide you, if you're not aware, with an introduction to Shoreham Academy. Shoreham Academy is a United Learning Academy. United Learning are the largest multi-academy trust in the country, and we are a secondary school that is part of that group that serves Shoreham and Southwick. We're still a growing school. We're over 1,800 students at the moment, and of those 1,800, there are 330 students in the sixth form. So it's very much a 7-year journey that our students are embarking upon when they join the Academy in year 7. For those of you who live in the area, you know that our buildings are new. Well, I say new, we moved into them in 2012 and they're just fantastic, absolutely fabulous. And we added a further multi-purpose hall about 3 years ago. We are an Ofsted outstanding school. I need to say something about this because Ofsted's visited us a few years ago. As a member of United Learning, we receive 3 times a year review and support visits, which provide us with an evaluation of where we're at the school, and we continue to be rated at that level in terms of the provision that we are providing to our students. We are a non-selective school and we run our admissions and appeals through local authority processes. And I know that some of the questions which are most frequently on parents' minds are around subscription, oversubscription and catchment. I think it's important for parents, I say this every year, we are only oversubscribed or fully subscribed if parents and students apply. So if you live, and this is something which can be a point of confusion, if you live in Southwick or Shoreham, you are absolutely 100% within the school's catchment. There's a part of Shoreham over towards the river, which is a part of a shared catchment with Sir Robert Woodard Academy. But you are able to apply to either school, both schools. And what I would say to you is consider your choices. And if you decide that you want your child as a first preference to come to Shoreham Academy, list it, put that down on your application, because without listing it, you don't have that opportunity to join the school. If you do have specific questions relating to your situation and catchment, feel free to email us on info@shoreham-academy.org. You can also speak with the West Sussex admissions team. Moving on. Something about our values, and those of you who've already got children at the school will be familiar with these values. We talk a lot to our students about hard work, what we do, integrity, what we have within ourselves, and excellence, what we strive to achieve. We talk about them a great deal in our assemblies, in school themes, linking back to these 3 fundamental principles. These are the values that we wish our students to live by, and we guide them to do so by doing our utmost as colleagues working within the school to model these values through our behaviour. In terms of the starting point for a great education, it's about being a safe and caring space for children to be, and that's never more important than at the moment when we're dealing and thinking, as all schools are, about safety in the very, very broadest sense. We are a large school, but we work hard to keep a small school feel for our students by having 3 schools, or I suppose you might call them houses, old money. It's a little bit like Hogwarts, except instead of having Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, we have Wells, Kipling and Doyle. They're all named after authors, which are very much in keeping with our focus around literacy improvement. Each one of those schools have their own head of school and pastoral team. It means that every student can be known and supported, not to mention being able to participate in fabulous inter-school competitions for the Kingston Cup. We have not yet introduced Quidditch, although I have to say that we did run some Quidditch as part of our Experience Week a couple of years ago. We are a school that really focuses on seeking to support every individual. I should say, by the way, these quotations on each of these slides, these aren't quotes that I've made up. These are quotes that have come directly from reports written by external visitors, including Ofsted. So this is not I'm not making reference to words that I've actually added to these boxes. We recognise that actually the great relationships that start in our schools and amongst our school teams then extend into classrooms. Part of our approach to support positive mental health is recognised through our close relationship with the Anna Freud Foundation, as well as many other local organisations as well. We have a fantastic SEND team and work closely with our primary partners to ensure that transition is smooth for each individual. And if you do have any particular questions relating to SEND, which are specific to your child or what your child can expect, you can absolutely raise those questions with us. Ordinarily, on an actual evening and on visits, we would have representatives from our learning support team available to speak with you and answer those questions, and we're more than happy to do so virtually whilst you're making your decision, and once that decision has been confirmed and your child is coming to Shoreham Academy. So we do set the bar high in terms of our expectations. We have high standards at Shoreham Academy. For us, for me, it's really important to ensure fairness and consistency so that all students can excel and feel comfortable in a disruption-free classroom and school. We absolutely know that children can rise to that bar. All children can rise to that bar and be great, and they really do almost always rise to that occasion. Of course, once we've established the health and safety and happiness of our students through some of the things I've already talked about, from that foundation, the sky really can be the limit in terms of how they can progress with their learning. Shoreham Academy is the South Coast training hub for United Teaching. So we, as a school, set the standard in terms of innovative teaching and learning. In our role in developing and training and ultimately recruiting the very best teachers. Besides that work with United Teaching, we also work incredibly closely with our local universities, who are fabulous, and working with 20+ trainees over the course of any given year to give them early experiences that they can grow from within the classroom. They're able to learn as a consequence of being able to see the very best practice. The curriculum which is offered at United Learning Schools is challenging and relevant. It's knowledge rich. We want our children to think hard and to learn new things. We don't want it to be easy. We want it to be pitched at a point where it can offer them really good challenge. We innovate with our curriculum structure. So, for example, when students join in year 7, they're taught history, geography and religious studies, not by 3 different teachers, but by the same teacher. They're called their EBAC teacher. And that really aids their continuity in transition, so that they're getting used to more contacts with different teachers, but when managing the number, it reduces that number down. Because we are a larger school, we can offer an incredibly diverse range of GCSE and A-level courses, as well as vocational courses further up the school. If you take a look at our website for the range of courses, they include things as different as Latin, philosophy, computer programming. Students have the opportunity to study Latin and multiple languages at GCSE should they wish. Moving on, Tim. Of course, it's not just about what happens in the classroom. It's the way in which an individual's character develops and the way in which we can stimulate that character development. Beyond the classroom, we look to fulfill, and I'd be pointing out the posters in the atrium, which is right at the heart of the school, if you were with me in the building tonight, but we look for our students to fulfill their 10 pledges. These are pledges which cover a range of different areas about community, about responsibility, about presenting to wider audiences, about making contribution, about representation, and they set at a number of different levels that the students work to achieve over the course of their time at the Academy. In July each year we have our Experience Week. It's a week in which the lessons in the classroom, the regular lessons, stop, and all students have an opportunity to attend a residential trip, and they vary each year and they build and grow to allow students greater degrees of independence. Besides those, we offer quite a range of challenges and opportunities, all of which feed into the analysis of their route towards making these pledges, which of course is all about them gaining those experiences to grow and develop their very own character. Our school is unashamedly a school which promotes ambition. We want young people to be incredibly ambitious. I talk to my year 7s about being the best in the field that they want to be a part of. If you want to be a mechanic, that's fantastic. Be a Formula 1 mechanic for Mercedes and work with Lewis Hamilton is the example that I often give to them. We want to support their achievement of those goals by providing great advice. We've worked really hard over the last few years on our careers provision so that students get that experience over the course of their 7 years with us, having access to high quality and independent support as they grow. As a school, I mentioned mental health earlier, which is an important point of focus, and we follow the 5 ways to well-being, making often projects and references to that. And being active is fundamental to this. We certainly, and those of you who have spent time at the Academy will know we've got some fantastic facilities. But what we do have is we back that up with fantastic track record and success in local, regional and national competitions. We encourage all of our students to compete and enjoy. And our internal Kingston Cup competition between our Wells, Kipling and Doyle, our 3 schools, ensures that all students are involved in those competitions as part of that process. We have nationally recognised gym, dance and football academies for students to join as they get older. And of course, as many of you are already familiar, we hold the most fantastic community fundraising event, our Tough Runner, in which the whole community, school and beyond, and some of our primary school students in the past have been involved as well, each year. In terms of our success and students' success, there are so many different ways in which we can measure that success. And schools often talk about the outcomes of the students, their academic outcomes. I'm not going to go through lots of details with you and bore you with tables and charts and graphs. If you look at the website, that provides you with details of our examination results. They have been fabulous. They continue to be fabulous, and they get better each and every year. Our goal here is always to get better. One or two examples: 60% of our sixth form students, our A-level students, achieved A star to B. So 60% of all of those entries were either an A star, an A, or a B, which is a great performance for our students. And the progress of our students at GCSE places them in the top 10%, and that's nationwide, not only for 1 year but for the last 5 years. Every student achieves nearly a grade higher in every subject than the targets which are set by the government. But we certainly don't rest on our laurels around that, Tim. Because, and this pretty much sums up and this is the end of my talk, we are forever committed to continuous improvements. I feel incredibly passionately about this, and colleagues at the school really do want to get better and better and better. The job is quite simply never done, and we can always improve, and that's part of the secret that sits behind that continuous improvement that you can see through those results, as well as the experiences that students have at the Academy. Every year we challenge ourselves to be better than the last, and we strive to succeed in that, and we generally manage it. I'm now going to pass over to Lydia, but I'll see you again for questions in a few minutes' time.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I can hear a slight echo. It has gone. And I hope you've enjoyed what you have been hearing so far. We never quite get used to doing these events like this. We would much prefer, as Mr. Coop said, to be seeing you in person. I get the good bit. Mr. Coop has spent some time talking about the things that we offer and the values which we live by at the school. I want to introduce you to some students who would have been delighted to talk to you in person, but they were happy for us to film them and say a few words. We really do, we offer a 7-year journey here, and students grow up a lot in that time. Our year 7s joined us 3 weeks ago now, and they're already settling in well, and you will get to hear from a year 7 student. I'm in charge of, one of my responsibilities is looking after transition, and I love that aspect of my role. I enjoy working with the primary schools, getting to know the students before they come here. We share a lot of information with the teachers, with the Senkos, with the head teachers, and if your child is from out of area, we will still ensure that we have spoken to your school and we will offer a full transition. Those of you that are in area, you may well have been involved in the community games, you may have been involved in fun days, you may have heard of us doing enterprise days. You may not have heard of us at all yet if you're new to the area or you're in an out of catchment school. But I can promise that if you choose Shoreham Academy as your secondary school, by September you will feel more than ready to come and join us. As Mr. Coop said, we are split into 3 schools, Doyle, Kipling and Wells. You'll see that students are very passionate about the schools that they're part of. All the students refer to it in their videos. They're not asked to, but they do. We don't script them. We ask them to focus on a particular topic, but then they choose what they say themselves. So I hope you enjoy listening to them, and we'll come back and speak to you when the video has finished.
I'm in Year 7, Doyle School, and I think that this is such a nice school because of the variety of lessons and how easy it is to make new friends. I've been in this school for only two weeks, and I've already made loads of new friends. I think we're really lucky to have such a great building, and it's so modernised and great to be in. And I think that it's so much nicer than the old schools because it has loads of new classes and things like that.
I'm Lily and I'm in Year 8. I joined Shoreham Academy from Leave last year. I really enjoyed making loads of new friends at school, and teachers are friendly. I like doing after school clubs and especially like to see Purge of the Library.
Hi, I'm Lottie. I'm the Welsh student at Shoreham Academy. In Year 7, I attended a trip to Blackburn Spa. My favourite activities were swimming and abseiling and the bonding with my friends. In Year 8, I partook in a production of Puss in Boots in which I played Babs, which links to my GCSE Year 10 options, in which I would like to take drama, graphic design and possibly childcare. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name's Torrin and I'm a Year 10 student here at Shoreham Academy, and I've been asked this year to talk to you about my experience as a Year 10 so far. I'm lucky enough now to be starting my GCSE years now, the first of two, and as a Year 10 I'm able to choose most of my subjects as they are all GCSEs, and I think this has so far made it the most fun year yet. I'm studying drama, French, history and media studies. And I think they're absolutely brilliant. Our teachers are so knowledgeable about the subjects they teach, and they make the lessons really fun, and I think that's a really positive thing. The school offers an absolutely huge array of different subjects at GCSE, which might seem overwhelming at first, but they give us absolutely brilliant support choosing our GCSEs. I mean, we were supported right the way from choosing them in Year 8 to beginning them in Year 9 and carrying on with most of them now in Year 10. I think it's probably Year 10 most important year in education. And as I say that, I'm being motioned by the voice behind the camera to speed it all up. So thank you very much. Goodbye.
Hi, I'm Lola and I'm part of the student leadership team at Shoreham Academy Clipping School. I'm in Year 11 and I've been here since Year 7, and when I first came here it was quite scary, to be honest, because obviously you come from a tiny primary school where you have one teacher, one classroom like each year. So it was really nice just to have new classrooms, new teachers, new faces, even like new subjects where you get to learn like so much more. And it's just great because you have all these new experiences and like you make new friends, and then you get opened up to all these opportunities, such as like in Year 9 I went to go help out at the beach primary school where I helped to teach maths, and then we also get to find out about all the colleges and like the amazing sixth form here with all the A-levels, and yeah, it's been a great experience to have. Yeah, it's been really good.
Hi, I'm Aviola. I'm currently studying at the Shoreham Academy sixth form. I'm doing sociology and sports science, which I'm really enjoying at the moment. I'm also part of the football academy, which is really good because I love football and I really want to do something with football, hopefully later in life. I was studying sports science, like I said, hoping to be a physio, and I want to study physiology at university someday. The system here is great. I'm really liking life here at the moment. It's really good. And my friends are here, and you've got to love what your friends are here really good. So that's good.
Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm in Year 13 and I'm taking biology, psychology and PE, and I'm part of the Gym Academy. I'm applying to university to do physiotherapy at Southampton.
So they had lots to say. Some of them, as Torin said, we had to kind of wind it up. He could have gone on forever. And I would say, if any of you do know students that come here, they will talk to you and tell you what their experience is like at school. You know, if you have neighbours that come here, do just ask them what it's like to be a Shoreham Academy student. You can find lots of information out from the website. So there is a specific transition area, but before you get to that, you know, you can find the curriculum guide, you can find information about the subjects that are on offer, and we will be publishing later, if not tomorrow, a video from all of the departments, just with a snapshot like that video of what happens in the department. But in terms of transition, if you log into Firefly from the transition page, there is a guest user account that you can use, which is valid right the way through the year. There's a username and password that you use, and then you can log in and find lots more information out. So you do need to click on the transition box when you log in, but then you go through and there's lots of different boxes that you can see. So any of you that are would like further information on the SEND department, you can go in and it tells you more about the support that we offer students that need that support. Lots of you will be interested to have a tour of the building. If you log into Firefly, there is a virtual tour of the building that you can see the atrium that Mr. Coop was talking about. You can go around the sports facilities and see the different schools and how that element works. Please do use that information that's available to you. You can spend a long time from now right the way up until September next year just looking. I'd like a challenge is find a question that isn't answered on those pages. There is lots of information there, but the one I really would say it's important for you to go and do is to go and take the virtual tour, and tomorrow you will be able to look at the different departments on the website. So finally, we would be inviting you now to come and see us when we're at work and through our normal working day, and sadly we can't do that. We hope you've got a feel of what we offer at Shoreham Academy. If there's any of you that really don't know the building, you know, you don't know us, you haven't been in for any of the other things, and there's a specific reason why you might need to come and look around, please do contact us and we'll do our best to accommodate you. The best email address to use is info@shoreham-academy.org. And we will get back to you and see what we can arrange. That would be outside of the school day. Unfortunately, with things as they are at the moment, we're not able to have tours during the school day. But I would encourage you, it's nice to see that there's been lots of questions coming in. We will do our best to answer them now. Lots of them have been answered as we've gone through the presentation, and you can find answers also on that Firefly page that I signposted you to. There really is no question, even if it comes back to you in a week, 2 weeks, a month, whenever, please do get in touch at the info email address and we will get back to you. So we will now start answering your questions. And this is where Miss Hill is going to start. She will ask the questions and we'll do our best to answer them.
I think, is it, Tim, are we going to, Lydia and I are going to appear by the magic of split screen in a second? Is that the idea?
I think it'll be one at a time.
Oh, okay. Our ambitions are clearly too great. Whilst we're just getting onto the questions, you know, the other thing that we're very conscious of this year is that, you know, there's going to be changes over the course of the next few months, hopefully positive changes. I know that's what we're all hoping for, and so therefore we are very much alive to ensuring that transition experience as we move further into the year and things, touch wood, improve, we can ensure that you as parents are very much involved in that process and having really great opportunities to meet with us and speak with us.
Thank you. Shall I pose some questions now?
Yeah, this is so Hayley Hill is going to, whilst we've been talking, she's been gathering those questions, pulling them together and trying to kind of gather them, and she's going to sort of fire them at either myself or Lydia or possibly Tim. She may even answer one herself, who knows, but hopefully we'll cover all of the key bases that are coming up in those questions. If we don't answer your question in person, we will answer it in terms of the box. So in terms of a written reply, and you can always, as Lydia said, if something else comes up, you can always contact us. So what have you got for us, Hayley?
Right, well, I'm just going to, because we talked about the 7-year journey, and so I'm just going to go to the far end of that journey and just talk about our sixth form.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of questions there, and one is, what percentage of students at Shoreham go on to university?
Okay, well, obviously the percentage of students that go on to university varies each year. It depends upon the students, it depends upon their intentions. And actually, there's an interesting times that we live in which some of our best students are managing to get onto fantastic degree apprenticeships with employers such as Deloitte and Rolls-Royce. And therefore they don't go to university, but they're being paid and getting a degree from a great employer at the same time. But our figure last year for university, moving on to university, was 57%. So that's the answer to that question.
Thank you. And also another question is about, do many students from Shoreham Academy go on to Cambridge, Oxford or other top universities?
Yes, they do. Not only top national universities, UK universities, but also international universities. We had a student going back 2 or 3 years ago who went to Harvard and secured a full scholarship at Harvard and has really prospered as a consequence of that. We work very closely with some of our independent school partners in United Learning, specifically Surbiton, in order to really prep students up and ensure that their preparations for universities are as strong as they possibly can be. And yes, this year we've had medics, we've had students going to really top 10 universities, Russell Group universities, which I won't explain, but those of you who are familiar will understand that. And if you go onto our website, there will be a detailed breakdown of where students went. So you can look at that on the website.
Okay, so I'm just now going back to year 7s because that's the sort of, the starting point. And there's a few questions there, a variety actually. So one of them is talking about the likelihood of residentials going ahead. Particularly we talk about Blacklands Farm as being a fantastic opportunity, don't we, for our year 7s. So what is the likelihood of residentials in that experience week or across the year going ahead?
Well, there we go. I do not have a crystal ball. And so I don't know exactly what position we're going to be at in July of next year. I'm relentlessly optimistic personally. You've really got to be, haven't you? And so, I do feel that we're likely by July of next year to be in a far better position. We've booked for year 7 and year 8, all of them, to be able to attend Blacklands Farm next year as a part of Experience Week, because obviously our new year 8s missed out last year because we couldn't run that. So we've got that planned. It's scheduled. Whether or not we're able to very much depends upon obviously where we're at. Thank you.
And Michelle, you may want to chip in as well at this point, but how many subjects in year 7 will our students engage with, and are there any optional subjects in year 7?
Michelle?
Yeah, so they engage in all of the core subjects, so your maths, your English, your science, your religious studies, geography, history, IT. They also do the technologies, so food technology, design and technology, art, PE, languages. So when it comes to languages, we offer French, German and Spanish, with the preference that they study the language that they've been studying at primary school, unless there is a specific reason that they want to, or that they already know another language, for example, Spanish or German. So in year 7, there aren't any options. Students do follow a set curriculum, but it's a broad, balanced curriculum. And then we begin to think about options in year 9. Thank you. Is there another question, Ms. Hill?
Jim, you need to put your microphone on.
Sorry, we were muted. I do apologise. Hayley was asking you a question and you couldn't hear it. Sorry, Hayley.
The question was really, it's good to hear, you know, that breadth of subjects. Do you teach mixed ability in Year 7? Is that opportunity available?
Yes, so we begin teaching mixed ability in all subjects. Students then take a baseline assessment in maths very early on in Year 7, and we set in maths before October half term. All other subjects remain mixed ability.
Thank you. There's a lot in the presentation about sort of experience we can nurture. So there's just a couple of questions again, Michelle, for you that probably fit around that. Is what range of support do you have in place for specific learning disabilities? That was one question.
Yes, so I alluded to the ILS department, so the Inclusion and Learning Support Department. Normally you would meet them on this evening. They are always happy to receive phone calls or emails about specific needs that a student may have. We work very well with our primary school SENCOs in terms of sharing information, and we will cater specifically for students depending on what their needs may be. So if they have a student information sheet with strategies that we may be using, we have teaching assistant support in classes where students do need that. In terms of support that's not necessarily learning related, we have a great pastoral structure. So as we've said, the school is split into 3 schools, Doyle, Kipling and Wells, and within that we have a head of school and then pastoral managers who are non-teachers that are there for kind of non-learning support throughout every day, and they're a great point of contact for students and families.
Thank you. And then there might be also linked with that, I've got a question, is how else can children achieve with you other than academically and in other nurturing ways? There's a few questions about that, so I didn't know if you wanted to add anything else.
Yeah, we've got lots of things going on from student voice, student council, a lot of the reading programs and the mentoring programs, peer mentoring that students can get involved with. Obviously there's all the various sporting teams that students may wish to get involved with.
Thank you. And what other school provisions are going to be available for Year 7s? You know, what after school provision is there normally for Year 7 students?
Well, yeah, so we're hoping to start up our after school provision again, I think next week now for our current Year 7s, but for next year's Year 7 we obviously hope that things will be running slightly more normally, and so we offer things from homework clubs. I know that will be the first that students want to hear about, but yeah, homework clubs, library after school support and the ability to get books, all of the sporting clubs, a lot, ranging from kind of gymnastics, football, the usual, and art clubs, technology clubs. Have I missed any, Mr. Coop?
Well, yeah, I mean, I noticed there's another question that got posted a few minutes ago, which related to, and actually I need to apologise because I didn't include it in my presentation in relation to the arts, music, drama and so on and so forth, because I talked about the sporting side, but I failed to talk about some of the fabulous work that happens around the arts. And that's not just art and the art clubs which are available for students, the competitions that our students enter, both within United Learning and beyond, but also, and the kind of gallery representation that they get involved in as a consequence, but also drama and music. So we do have school choirs and school groups and school bands, and they obviously enjoy sharing and celebrating that in things such as our annual carol service, for example. But also every year we run a really big musical show, as well as developmental drama projects and performances for students who are treading the boards for the first time lower down the school, as well as our GCSE drama performers who are preparing to deliver their assessed pieces. So there's lots going on that side, and apologies that I failed to talk about that in my presentation. There's lots to talk about and not too much time to do it.
Yeah, no, thank you, because there was a question about the philosophy of what we offer the arts. So I think that addresses really that question. But I just want to so there was a message come through. Mr. Colleagues and pupils, thank you for a very informative and helpful open evening. It's sad we couldn't visit in person, but you have all made up for this. A great effort. Well done.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's a shame that we can't see you, because the teachers really enjoy having fun in their classes on open evening, whether that's getting visitors involved in baking, whether it's crazy science experiments, whether it's different performances, quizzes, and so on and so forth. So it's always an evening that we look forward to. So it's a shame that we can't be with you in person, but it is as it is, and hopefully this is making up for it in terms of the information that you need to make a really good choice.
I have a couple of sort of COVID related questions. So again, either Tim or yourself. So first of all, what is the sort of COVID policy for cleaning in the school at the moment?
Well, I'm going to hand over to Tim, but I'm really optimistic by the time that your children join the school in the next academic year that we will, as I said, let's be optimistic and hope that we're back to not just the new normal, but the actual real life normal that almost seems so distant at the moment. Tim, do you want to say a few words about this?
Yeah, hi everyone. Yes, we've obviously, as the COVID situation has progressed, we've had to change and adapt how we clean the school. At the moment, we've got two types of cleaning, really. We've got infection control cleaning, and then we've got our general cleaning that always goes on at the end of each day, because we're using all of the spaces. So on top of that general cleaning, we've put extra cleaners in place. We've got an extra cleaning supervisor to make sure that we're doing all the infection control cleaning that's important. So just as in primary schools, we have separate year group bubbles here, and we have to make sure that they don't mix, and therefore if spaces are shared, that we have to clean between one to the other. We've had to buy new equipment, fancy like little guns or atomizers that clean things really, really quickly. You can just see it, if I sat in my office, every hour or two, you can hear someone, clean the door handle as they go past. So everything is on a very enhanced cleaning schedule to minimize the risks of coronavirus ever spreading within the school. So it's pretty detailed, it's pretty full on, but I've got a great team at the moment who are delivering that for the students and staff and the safety of the school.
Wait, sorry, you're unmuted.
Oh, thank you. Linked to that is how well prepared are we for remote learning? And I know that might be either Tim or yourself, Tim, that would like to.
Well, really well prepared, because we've had quite some experience of it already. Tim will be able to provide you with the details, but in a nutshell, yeah, we're well prepared to shift back into that mode if we need to, with lots of live experiences for our students. Tim.
Yeah, we developed really well over the initial lockdown period in terms of the remote learning that we were able to provide. So I never would have thought the levels to which all of the teachers can now undertake IT and to support with remote learning. So we've had great experience in that process, and we know how to slip back into that. So we're making plans actually over the last few weeks and over next week about all the different eventualities that can happen and how we can go on and provide actually not only what we did during lockdown, but actually to improve that offer. So we were delivering live lessons to the sixth form back in June and July when lockdown was still going on, and we're trying to extend that out. So we've got lots of different things that we're looking at. I said the great advantage that we've got is that we've got a very IT literate staff team now, and whether it's a couple of students that are off because they're self-isolating, or whether we had to close down, or if we had a local lockdown situation and everyone had to go home for 2 weeks, that we're comfortable that we can actually move to support students with remote learning effectively.
Thank you very much. Jim, I just want to come to a couple of catchment questions.
Okay.
So one of them says, one road outside your catchment, is it worth applying to your school?
So what I would say to any parent, I'm just going to reiterate what I said, that if you if Shoreham Academy is the school that you want your child to go to, then pick it. In terms of managing your expectations, that obviously I can't provide you with a guarantee around that. There are students that come to the school and have joined the school from that kind of location in previous years, and if you don't list the school as a choice, then it's not an option that's available to you. What you can do is seek further guidance and response to questions from the West Sussex admissions team, who are more than happy to support parents with their decision-making process and guide them accordingly. Because sometimes it's about the fact that if you're just into Brighton and Hove, you're into a different admission authority, and they can guide you around that as well.
Okay, linked to, there's a question, is that what chance is there that a sibling of an existing pupil not actually gaining a place based on the catchment?
So if the sibling is in, now again, I'm going to say just double check with West Sussex. But if the sibling is in years 7 to 11 currently, or moving into next year, sorry, then it would be very unlikely for your child, and you're in catchment, it would be very unlikely for your child not to get into the school. But again, that's not a guarantee that I can offer, because until those figures, until those applications are made, it's dependent upon the people who apply. Everyone could apply, no one could apply. It's hard for me to be able to. Again, it's a bit like looking into that crystal ball around coronavirus and what things are going to be like in a few months' time.
This is sort of loosely linked to it, but are students guaranteed a place in the sixth form if they wish to stay on?
So sixth form places are. So yes, but it's dependent upon whether or not they achieve the criteria, the grade level for the subjects concerned, because we want students to be doing courses that will challenge them, and that goes back to something I was talking about earlier, but also a course that they are able to access, and we guide and support our students in that. I very much want our students, where it's appropriate to do so, to be in a position where they can complete their 7-year journey with us as a school. And as I said earlier, we offer a great range of subjects which enable us to be able to accommodate people, students at a variety of different levels. There are some courses that we simply don't offer. We don't offer vocational courses in catering, for example. And so if a student, we want our children to be pursuing the goals and the ambitions that they wish to pursue. And in instances when that can't be achieved at Shoreham, obviously our independent advice enables them to be aware of the choices that are available to them.
Can I just sneak in another catchment question?
Go on then.
Do you accept students from out of the catchment, and what is the chance of getting in? We are just over the west-east Sussex border.
Yes, so it's not about whether we accept. The guidelines that all schools, as far as I'm aware, in West Sussex work to is the West Sussex admissions criteria, and the admissions criteria just works at a number of different scale points. And students that are coming from out of catchment are on that list. It depends on whether the school is full on the basis of the catchment points, the criteria points that are listed above that. So once again, I would say speak to West Sussex for that advice and guidance, but it's not something that you cannot do, certainly.
And just before I go back to Michelle, just a comment here which is really nice. Just to share, I rang the school recently to speak to the SENCO about my child who is on the SEN register. The SENCO was really helpful and gave me loads of information about how they can support and the support that they would get. So that's a really lovely comment. So thank you very much for that. Yeah,
it's good to hear.
Yeah, so
we'll pass it on.
So Miss Shelley, just a few questions here, some practical things that Year 7 students, Year 6 into 7 like to know. In terms of, do they get assigned to a school, the Wellsdale, or do they have the choice of which school to go into?
So students will be allocated to a school. I did see a question on whether there's a sibling link, and so yes, it is likely that if your sibling is in Doyle, for example, you would go into Doyle School. Other than that, it is a random selection process, just like it is at Hogwarts.
Okay. Thank you. Will I be put in the same class as friends from primary school?
We don't allocate based on friendship, but we do ensure that you will be with at least one person from your primary school, and that would be in your mentor and in your EBAC group.
Thank you. And another sort of practical things here being our school uniform. Is this purchased through the school? Is it done independently? Does it change every year, the uniform?
We don't make alterations to our uniform policy every year. There may be some tweaks, and there's nothing in consultation at the moment about a change to the uniform, but you know, it may happen before next year. It is a shop that is an independently run shop based in Hove, with a link to buy online or go to the shop in Hove and try things on.
Thank you. And just before I then go back to Mr. Coop, the behaviour policy, could you just give us an outline on what that looks like in the school?
Yeah, we operate a binary behaviour policy, which is great for students that need to know when they're doing the right thing and sometimes when they're doing a wrong thing. We recognise that students are growing up and maturing throughout their time with us, so it's a simple binary behaviour policy introduced to cut out low-level disruption to learning. So students get one warning in a classroom, and if the behaviour continues, then they will spend some time in the behaviour room with an opportunity to reflect on their behaviour, have any repair conversation that is needed.
Thank you. And just a few, there's a number of questions, Miss Shelley, around bullying, you know, and that sort of worry of moving from primary to secondary. Mm-hmm. So the sorts of questions that I have are, what procedures are in place to combat bullying and cyberbullying? There is a question that's quite specific. What was the last example of bullying you had to deal with, and what did you do?
Yeah, you're right. The questions do link together. So bullying does sit within our behaviour policy. We begin by investigating, and we will contact parents. Our most kind of recent examples or example of bullying would focus around mobile phone, which often is outside of school. We have a dedicated safety officer that works within the school, that if parents make us aware of issues outside of school, we will try our best to support and obviously advise to contact the police, etc. If it's through online apps, etc. But we also do education around bullying and cyber online bullying throughout the PSHE programme and the mentor programmes, to make sure that our students are making the right choice with their approach to their behaviours, both inside and outside of school.
I mean, just to add to that, the reality around bullying is that bullying exists in all different schools. There are experiences of that, and children myself, I'm very familiar with the experiences they have, and obviously something which we are very unfamiliar with from our time as children is the angle associated with phones. So the education that sits around that in terms of making responsible choices, and also understanding how to be able to speak up if there is a concern, and how you can support your peers and friends if there is an issue, is very, very important to us. Each of our schools have got a hotline in which they can share something at whatever time of the day or night for our pastoral teams to then be able to pick up. So it's something we take really seriously. We want students to learn, but we also want it to stop. And in line with our high expectations, we don't tolerate that continuance. We continue to work with the situation, managing wherever possible, and setting appropriate consequences.
Mr. Cook, can you then add a little bit more about how we handle incidents of racism and how we teach children about equality and diversity?
Yeah, I mean, in fact, our policy has recently been updated to include different hate incidents, which incorporate incidents involving inclusion or lack of inclusion, lack of diversity, racism, homophobia, etc. And these things, well, I think the first thing for parents to understand is that any of those incidents are come across my desk and ones that I lead on in terms of bringing about resolution. We've got a policy which sits behind it, but more importantly, a flowchart for actions in which we have to investigate and consider what's happened, speak to the students concerned. These incidents do get reported at local authority level, and we have to use our discretion to decide when it's appropriate to involve the police as well. We make clear to students of the choices that are available to us, and that and the severity of situations such as that. We want students to learn from the mistakes they have made. We want them to have appropriate consequences for that, and we want there to be effective repair so that victims can feel reassured, and the students who have made the mistake can understand how that feels for the other student concerned. And that's really, I'm saying a little bit more, that's the approach that we want to take around the individuals associated with bullying as well.
Thank you. A couple of, well, quite a few more questions and some really big ones to approach. But
okay.
Just going back to the Ofsted that we talked about being outstanding, what would trigger another full Ofsted inspection? Okay,
so Ofsteds are triggered if there's a significant safeguarding issue or concern. That can prompt and register an immediate Ofsted. And also if schools fall below expected standards. So they're looked at very closely, all schools are looked at very closely, and particularly schools that are in the outstanding category, to see whether or not they're still deserving of sitting there. And if their standards appear to be falling for a variety of ways below that, then that can prompt an inspection. So yes, the way in which multi-academy trusts also operate is that they're highly accountable to their very own commissioner. So actually there's a very close eye which is kept through the trust as well as through that commissioner that works closely with the multi-academy trusts.
And we talk about it as a trust, and there was a question earlier on: is this a Church of England school?
No, we are not specifically denominational. So no, we're not a Church of England school, and there's no, in terms of those admissions criteria, there's no link whatsoever to faith.
And a question that was again earlier is, why no female authors in the houses?
That's a really good question, and one that we have talked about and considered. The decisions for the names of the schools were made a number of years ago. 2008, I think, was when they were decided. It's 2009 maybe, not long after I began at the school, in fact. And they were linked to, we wanted to have a focus around literacy, and they were linked to authors locally, and that was the decision that was made. We have actually considered having secondary associations with more up-to-date, more current, more relevant role models, which are not necessarily linked to books, and that's something which we're still in the process of considering. There's also, isn't there, a kind of students have an association and a link and a commitment to those schools. So we're also cautious around changing the names of the schools which they already feel very closely aligned to. But it's something which is it's certainly on our mind and has been subject to discussions at school, not only amongst teachers, but also I've had those conversations with students as well.
Thank you. Before I go back to Mr. Harkins, I just want to ask you, how would you describe the personality of the school?
Goodness me, that's goodness. I feel like I'm at an interview. If it was an animal, what animal would it be? I think that I don't know if this really describes the personality. So the school is a happy and joyous place in which I think we work hard and we play hard as well. And I'm not just talking about sports. We have lots of fun. Students start and finish school invariably with a smile on their faces. So I would say that our personality is fun-loving, hard-working, committed, resilient, and full of resolve. Recognizing the way in which we can work together. We talk a lot about family, and I do very much think of the colleagues that I work with and the students that come to the school as being that family. We're at quite a mature phase in thinking in those terms, and yeah, hopefully I think that's how we see things. I don't know if that's really answered the question, but maybe that gives you a bit of a flavour of what we're all about at a slightly different level.
Having been, I know I'm asking questions, but having been at the school less than you, sir, I would say that when I first arrived, that I have never felt so welcomed by students and by teachers, and in a heartbeat felt very much welcome into the community. And I think, you know, I still feel that even after these number of years, how welcoming and open people are.
Yeah, really. And I felt, funnily enough, I felt that, and that was something I felt 12 years ago before Shoreham Academy was even Shoreham Academy, that people are very much on board with being willing to change, being willing to adapt, willingness to work together. We talk a lot as a staff group about working as a team, and I've just got the most, goodness me, it makes me feel all goosebumpy. I've just got the most fantastic team here. Not just in terms of colleagues, but in terms of students. They work together, and the way in which they've worked together over the last few weeks, children are just so adaptable, so resilient, and so easy in getting settled for the most part. They're handling the changes that we've experienced during lockdown and on the return to school wonderfully well. And I think that says something for our community and our families as well. So, yeah.
I've got two similar
I'm going to
questions.
stop now.
Yeah, well,
I'm getting all gooey.
I've got two similar questions. I'll come back to that of a similar extent, but I'm going to go to Mr. Harkins now. And I know that he would like to explain to us about how the canteen system works.
Of course I would, yes. Sorry, mute you. Yes, so at the moment we are running two full services out of two separate catering outlets because we have to keep year group bubbles separate. So we have lots of breaks. Breaks start at 9:30 and they roll with a couple of year groups right through till nearly 11 o'clock. And then from about 12 o'clock, again, the two main eating and catering spaces are open right through till about 1:45. So we've moved away from using fingerprints, obviously, because we can't. That's an area of transmission for coronavirus. So we now have a card system. That's how the students buy the food, and parents top up using Parent Pay, which we use for a lot of our financial transactions. You know, revision books and trips and all those kind of things we do through Parent Pay. There's a various menu that are from which we, you know, the full menu runs from both services. So there's lots of grab and go food at break time, which the students really like, which, you know, we try and make healthy as well as, you know, the things that the kids like. At the moment, we're trying to make main meals almost grab and go as well. So it could be a roast dinner and a wrap or something like that. So there are ways and means that now we're trying to get the health factor up as well, but while getting students through. So so that's how they work. Every the serveries have enough seats for all of the students. in fact, at the moment, it's probably working better in the fact that we have, you know, smaller numbers of students accessing the catering facilities, so that we can get them through really quickly. They can have their food, you know, have a decent break with their friends, and then get back into lessons.
Thank you. A question that is, where will we be able to find the video if we haven't, you know, if friends and local friends haven't been able to see this? Yeah, fine. So the page that you found the original link on will be updated either tonight or tomorrow morning, and I'll put there'll be a big link on the homepage of the website as well, which will take you through, and that will have the recording from of this presentation and open evening. It will have the YouTube clip separately, and the other YouTube clip from the departments, which is a little bit too long to actually put into the presentation tonight, but they put a lot of effort into doing that as well. So that'll be up there as well for prospective parents and students to look at. Thank you. Can you also, just last one for you for the moment, Ms. Harkins, how much work has gone into creating a carbon-free environment and reducing plastic? We've been doing a lot on it actually for the last couple of years. We've got a new sustainability committee. I'm in charge of health and safety, but I'm also, now that's changed to become the health and safety and sustainability committee as part of the governance. We report back to that. We do a lot of work with our students and our staff on trying to move towards being the more environmentally school and non-polluting. I'm not going to lie, but you know, coronavirus has set that back, because there are lots of things that we now have to do in terms of packaging that we wouldn't have done in the past to make things safe. So at the moment there is a bit of a trade-off. We are having to run our fans harder and faster, because actually the primary concern is not the amount of energy that we're expending, but making sure that, you know, the rooms are getting fresh air and ventilation into them. It's not really good for the electricity bill, but unfortunately, you know, we have to make those trade-offs. So yes, it's something we're very keen on progressing. We're looking at installing electric charge points. We're looking at, you know, electric minibuses going forward, but we've got to get that at the moment. Certainly while the whole COVID situation is going on, we've got to get that balance right. But it's something that we focus on, and the students always come up with great ideas. So our amphitheatre over the summer, which was quite a concrete-y type area, now has 5 very big planters and some trees and some shrubs in it. So there's lots of things that we try and do to move towards that, providing sustainability with the staff and students contributing to it. Thank you. I've just got a few questions now for Michelle. The first one is, how do you communicate with families about their children's learning, particularly as you're going from primary to secondary, where at primary there's a lot of you know, daily communication?
Yeah, I think the first part is that we also communicate with the primary schools before families and students move up to us. So we have conversations about every single child with their primary school. So we have a good idea of the students that are coming to us. And when they come into year 7, we do reporting. And I think it's a bit of a myth that we don't communicate as much as primary schools. We just communicate in a different way. So we use Firefly so you'll always get notifications about homework that your child is being set. The school teams will contact you regarding your child if there's a particular problem at school, for instance. And then there's also the subject teacher that will contact you if they need to, or if you contact them, they will always get back to you. They may not be bringing your child outside to be collected at the end of the day, but they are still very much there to answer any of your questions and keep you up to date with their progress. You know, if we thought that your child wasn't making enough progress, for example, we would contact you and discuss the support that we can offer.
Thank you. How do year 7s spend their first sort of month at the school? How do you help them to familiarise with things such as timetables?
So we do we're hoping to do our transition days, and actually last year we were, so in July just gone, we were very pleased to be able to have every student that was coming to us in the building, if they were able to. So instead of doing 3 big days, we did 30 very little days, and it was a really lovely way to get to know the students. So they'll have a transition day of some sort. Hopefully we will be back to normal by then. But then we also do some days in September where there's only Year 7s or Year 7 and 11s in the building. They spend more time with their mentor. But also we find that they settle in very quickly. That Year 7 that you saw on the video has been here for 3 weeks, and the majority of our students will settle very quickly, and those that we feel need more support, will give them the support as they need it. Sometimes it can be the parents that need support, because it's a big change for you as parents, the move to secondary school. Students find their feet very, very quickly, and we do find that their most common concern is that they're going to get lost in a big building, and we quite like that as a concern, because very quickly they find that they don't get lost. It's set out into 3 kind of wings for each school, and we go through it. We go through an example of the timetable with them. There is an example of the timetable on the Firefly page that I guided you to. So if you go to the transition section of the website and use the password to get into Firefly, there's an example timetable in there, and also it will show you how to find those specific rooms.
Thank you. Just a couple more before I go back to Mr. Coop. What about the amount of homework for Year 7s?
So they do a range of homework in Year 7. As Mr. Coop talked about, we offer 5 lessons of a kind of suite of subjects, which we call the EBAC, in which we incorporate geography and history and religious studies and elements of literacy. So they will get EBAC homework once a week. They will also get maths, English and science homework once a week, and some languages homework. So in total, we'd be looking at them doing around 45 minutes to an hour's homework every night, and some reading.
Thank you. And just one final one before I go across to Mr. Coop. Do you have nurture groups to support children struggling emotionally and socially?
Yes, we do. Like I said, the majority of our students will settle very well. For those that don't, we do offer an extended welcome transition from primary schools. So Year 6 teachers will identify if they think that there's students that would benefit from that extra support. It doesn't have to be SEND students. It's a range of students that may struggle for whatever reason, and we have them come in with us for 4 or 5 times before the transition day. So it kind of culminates with the transition day. Once they start school, they're able, we offer smaller spaces for students to go. For example, ILS students can go up there, or they may wish to go to the libraries at break time and lunchtime. And also they can use their school teams, the pastoral managers, for that support as well.
Thank you. Just go back to Ms. Coop. Is it true there is a separate site for students who struggle?
So we, 6 years ago, we established our Gateway Centre, which is actually on the old Fishersgate First School site down near the Shark Park in Southwick, or Fishersgate rather. And we wanted to do that in order to support the students that have real, I think sometimes really challenging situations around home, emotional concerns, it can be things like what's the word? So they've suffered bereavement. They have some phobia around a big school setting, and so we established our Gateway Centre, and that continues to support students from a variety of different year groups. It's a special place in which students get far closer ratio support, and it provides all of the curriculum which is offered at the main school through the fantastic mentors that work down there, as well as some additional nurture around their specific needs. We offer it as students are frequently on hybrid packages in which they spend some time at the gateway, but also back at the main school, so that they're acclimatizing and because obviously the goal is for them to be able to return and fully engage in the big school life that's happening back here at the main school. But yes, we do. It's a fantastic resource, and it's incredibly well supported by some fantastic businesses that provide some of the sponsorship to keep it going. Most particularly, and I'll give a big shout out to Shoreham Port, who as a trust have been incredibly supportive of the Gateway Centre over the last few years.
Thank you. So how do you challenge your high achievers, and how do you support underachieving?
So the recognition of students needing to be challenged at all levels in order to achieve and succeed and work beyond themselves to achieve their ambitions. There's a recognition that every student's got some great qualities, and every student's got stuff that they need to be able to work on and improve upon. It's the way in which our teachers look to extend and add challenge, and that's a fundamental stretch point in the lessons. We talk about stretch and challenge elements as students extend. And the way in which we utilise supports, not just in terms of learning support, but supports more widely for students, because it very much depends upon the individual. It depends on whether or not they need some emotional support, some pastoral support, some learning support, whether they need to be challenged in specific subjects. So we keep a really close track academically as well as socially and emotionally to be able to identify the students most in need. So yeah, we've talked about that school system already, which is so very important in identifying it so that students are known to people within the school.
A big question here.
Yeah, go on then.
At 6:45 for you.
Okay.
If you could improve one area of the school, what would it be?
Well, I'd like to improve most areas of the school a little bit. Now, I don't know if that's a bit of a cop-out, because I've talked about that, the focus on continual improvement, continual growth. What we do, and what I challenge everyone who works in the school to do, is to think about the things that they're responsible for and try and do them a little bit better, because actually it's about finding those things, and it's also working with the things which are the priorities at a particular point in time. So at the moment, our focus is on re-engaging and giving students that confidence back, which in some instances, in fact fewer than we were expecting, but in some instances has been affected, their emotional impacts of spending extended periods of time in lockdown, which obviously we're very conscious of. So the way in which we're working on that mental health angle, trying to capture and build upon the 5 ways to well-being that I talked about in my presentation earlier. I think that's a real priority for us, giving children the confidence, enabling them to bring their voice back to the classroom. And when I talk about the classroom voice, that confidence in answering questions, the participating in school life, and really our focus and goal this term is about getting up and running safely, the kind of things that we know that children are missing, those clubs, those activities, those extensions and enrichment, and planning for the future that enables things like those residential trips to be able to happen if we're able to do them. So I don't know if that answers the question, but really we're always looking to do a little bit better with all sorts of things, and we're more than up to that challenge.
Another big question here. Why choose Shoreham Academy over other schools?
So I'm not going to get involved in that one. In terms of why choose Shoreham over other schools, if Shoreham, and this is, I don't know if we're getting towards the end, but I think this might form part of the end message, so I might be doing it early. It depends if you feel that Shoreham Academy is the right school for your child. and whether your child thinks that Shoreham Academy is the right school for them. Why choose? It's on the basis of whether or not that fits. Over the course of the next few weeks, I imagine that you will engage with some other schools and their open evening, what's likely to be virtual experiences. And then it's a question, and I've been through this with 3 children myself now, it's a question of weighing up what is the best fit for your child. And if Shoreham Academy is the best fit for your child, then you should list it. And we look forwards, if everything works out, to them joining us next year. And I know that some of you might be tuning in because you've got children in year 5 and you're thinking ahead. And you know, whether it's next year or the year beyond, or even if you've got younger children and this is of interest to you, you can be thinking about what's going to be the best fit for them at whatever point in the future.
Okay, one little question, just going back to Mr. Harkins, and the question is, what is the password for Firefly?
I think I can probably answer this one because I think it's in relation to the transition element of the website. So that's when you just need to click on to the transition link from the website, and then it takes you through to the Firefly page, and the username is guest and the password is Shoreham 0 exclamation mark, and Shoreham has got a capital S. But this presentation will be put on the website tomorrow in case you need to refer back to that.
Okay, where are we at then, Hayley?
Well, I believe, and apologies if I've missed anyone's questions, what we will do is we will sort of skim back through any questions that I may have missed, and then we will answer them post-event. But that seems to be, so we finished on, you know, thinking about why this school and how to move the school and make it even better. So back to you.
Sure. Well, just to round off, first of all, I'd like to thank my colleagues for joining me on this event this evening and providing you with the information that we have had. I also want to thank you for taking the time to spend on this live event. I hope the technology has worked. I know that these things can sometimes be a little bit challenging. If things did cut out, as I think Tim said earlier, the recording will be available on the school website. We'll have it up before the end of the week, as well as the other materials. Please take a look at all of that information so that you can make a really informed decision. And if you do have other questions, and those questions, whatever they might be, there's no question that we have not, in all likelihood, have heard before. So don't feel that there's any question that's off limits, and we'll do our best to answer them or point you in the right direction to the correct answer so that you can be guided. It's a really important decision for you and your child, and we want you to be able to be informed in making the best possible decision. As Lydia said earlier, if you've not been around the school before, then do get in touch with us, and we'll do our utmost to be able to show you around outside of the school day. And obviously we will be looking to put on events to support transition as we move through the year, and hopefully we're able to open our doors more freely to you as future parents. Thanks very much for listening. I hope that it's been helpful, and we look forward to seeing you soon.